Hey, babe, it's JamiThatsMe here. Welcome back to the channel. Listen, I am back for another episode of Court is Messy. All right. Now, I know some of y'all about to fight me, girl, because y'all been asking for y'all Court is Messies. You guys have been asking for your This is Messies and your body cam is messy, and I'm working on it. Okay. Don't jump on me. But today we will be getting into one of my favorite judges. Okay. Miss Judge Tammy Long Hayward. Period. Okay. In this particular case, it seems like it's involving like a landlord and a tenant. So we're gonna check this out and shout out to the people. And I'm so sorry because it was at least two of you guys that added me or DM'd this to me. Okay. So we are going to get into this. Matter of fact, it may have been three of you guys. Actually, I think two of y'all may have hopped in my DMs, and then somebody added me on Twitter. And honestly, that's really the best place likely to get my attention because sometimes with Instagram, I don't always see all my messages, and I hate it because then I'm so late, and I'm like, oh girl, it's about a month late. My bad. I don't even think it's worth a response at this point. So I do apologize, but just hit me up on Twitter for the most part. Okay. And some of you guys do hit me up on TikTok. Okay. Because you guys may add me under like a court video or something. So I appreciate that as well. But in the meantime, in between time, let's go ahead. All right. Let's cut it out. Let's go ahead and get into what you guys are here for. All right. Yes. So we are here with the judge. Let's check it out.
Go ahead, Ms. Leak, and tell me what is going on. It is my understanding that there was a damages amount of $4,575 from the magistrate court.
Yes, ma'am. So I was living in the property for 6 years. The previous owners, one of the wife had passed away, so the husband sold the property. However, Ms. Mora allowed me to still stay there. She gave me a lease for 6 months and a price of $775. And if I needed more time, I can stay there. So came January, I still needed more time. She let me stay there for another 6 months without a lease, but she told me that she would charge me $1,100, which was fine.
Okay.
Came July of 2023, Ms. Mora told me that she was going to, I guess, reconstruct the property, and that I had 60 days to move out. Let me back it up. Prior to me moving in there in 2017, I moved in the property as is, meaning that the carpet was old, I got it clean, no new painting. The appliances was very outdated. Countertop very outdated. The owners at the time let me do the countertops over. I did carpet cleaning. I wiped the walls down.
I have to stop her here. I have to stop her here because I've been noticing that that's been a common thing where a lot of landlords would like to rent a home as is. And if you can agree to those terms, then everything is on you. A lot of landlords only want to own the property. They don't want to have to take care of anything and put everything on you as the tenant. And some people would do that because one, they want a bigger home. And then also potentially, right, depending on the home, but I would say they would want a bigger home. But then also it gives them the experience of what it would be like to own your own property. And then some people aren't in a position where they can go out and qualify for a mortgage, at whatever time. So they just go ahead and they rent a property. But I do feel like that's a bit unfair. Being that they're here in Georgia, I do feel like tenants are not treated correctly. In my personal, I don't believe Georgia gives a damn about its tenants. All right. And I feel like for this woman, even if she was going to pay the $1,100 a month, I feel like it should have maybe have been no security deposit, or you will credit her back any money at a later time for all of the changes that she's made to the property. Because unfortunately, ma'am, I just feel like you would have went on, made a lot of changes. She said she was able to change the countertops. They probably even allowed her to paint, do whatever it is you want to do to make this a home for you. But then also at the same time, you pretty much upgraded the property for them, likely for free, in my opinion. So when you do move out, they're going to be able to take all of the upgrades that you've given to this home on top of whatever the market is looking like in that area, hike up the rent, and then the next person that moves in, it's not a scam, but it's definitely a play. Okay. And it's like, now I don't fault them a little bit, because if you have people that's going to move into the homes and they're going to be willing to take it as is, then what damn house, what owner wouldn't take it? Okay, what owner wouldn't rent it out to somebody to where all I got to do is collect on it every month and I don't even have to do much of anything? Okay, I do think that there should be some negotiating taking place. Okay, when it comes to like hot water heater or things like that, air conditioner unit, I do feel like that's on, hello? That needs to be on the homeowner. There are certain things that they need to take care of, but any cosmetic changes on the inside that you might want to make, Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? But owners are really getting real lazy in comparison to what it used to be like back in the day and stuff. You moving in, the carpet is dirty as hell, and you got to pay these people security deposit, rent, and then got to turn around and cash out even more money just to get the carpet clean and prepared and ready for your family to move in. And then if the walls and things are not painted and up to par, you probably got to get that taken care of. I think that the least they can do is at least repaint the whole house, okay? Before the person moves in. Now, if it's certain things about the kitchen that you don't like and you want to upgrade, you should be able to do that. And honestly, with all of those upgrades and things that you may do to the property, I would want to believe that at some point, try to negotiate a buy the house from them. It'll be easier to possibly purchase the home from them than having to go out and place a bid on a home in hopes that you get, your offer gets accepted or whatever. So I don't know, just something to think about in the long run. I'm feeling away right out the gate about this case and the fact that she was okay and these people wanted to pass this property off and not do any work on it. All right, take it as is, and then you got to fix everything. Like I don't like that. And then a lot of these people get a property management companies, and when I tell y'all these property management companies ain't talking about SHI nor a piece of a T. Okay. Sad. That's sad. But anywho, let's go ahead and let's let her finish talking.
So fit enough for me and my daughter to live in. Okay, so let's go back to July of 2023. When I was told I had 60 days to move out, I went and go seek housing for me and my child. And I wanted to hurry up and do it before my child went back to college in August because I knew I was going to need the help.
Okay.
So I found something. The agency told me that I would have to pay, the deposit to move in. I did that, and I went straight ahead and moved out. I had a week to move out because my daughter was going back to school. And like I said, I was going to need the help. Ms. Mora still wanted me to pay the rent there. So
even
I told her,
moving out?
hey, I had the money to move out. I didn't have the money to pay you another month of rent.
Okay.
You already gave me this.
Hold on.
Okay.
Slow down for me because I need to understand. So Ms. Mora gives you a 60-day notice to leave.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And
you leave in how many days?
After that did you move out?
Yeah.
I found something in the beginning of August, so it was like maybe 30 days.
Okay.
Within 30 days, I found a place.
Okay.
So what was she charging you for?
She wanted to charge me another $1,100
for that,
another
the other 30
days.
days. Yeah.
But like I said,
hold on. Ms. Mora, you asked her to leave. You gave her a 60-day notice, which is required when the person doesn't have a lease, but they're working under a previous lease or the previous lease terms.
Before she even go in detail, it's already sounded like you gave her 60 days. You're giving her time to get out of the home. The lady gets out of the home in 30 days. To me, I just don't think she owe you some more money for another 30 days. I think that the landlord might be misunderstanding that, or maybe I'm misunderstanding that, because that's not are y'all following me? And you know what? Maybe it's different for everybody, different states or whatever. But if you're giving a person because if it was an apartment complex and like apartments, they want you to give them a 60-day notice, but based on your lease. So if your lease is up in February, they would expect you to have a notice to them by the end of December of what you're going to do. But they're also going to reach out to you ahead of time to see what your plan is. Are you moving out or are you staying? Right? But then for this lady to issue it and she moves out in 30 days and she doesn't even have a lease, though, that's what would make it different. If you're on a month-to-month basis and you're giving her 60 days to move out and she's like, okay, cool, I'll move out in 30, then that money for that extra month she would be using for her other property. So how did y'all end up in court? Who's suing who? Let's keep going.
The landlord is required to give a 60-day notice. And within that 60 days, if the person leaves, why would you then charge her for an additional month?
If she's leaving.
So there's gaps in her story. So do you want me to say my side of the story? Or do you want to finish until she says it? Because that's not exactly how it all went down.
Okay. Let me hear the rest of Ms. Leake's story. Okay, Ms. Leake. So August 2023, you find the new place, and you said Ms. Moore wanted you to pay another month.
She wanted me to pay from August to September.
Okay.
Another month of rent. So the money that I had to move was to move because I had to move because I didn't want to be homeless within the next day, paying her and then trying to pay a security deposit for a new place for me to stay.
Okay.
So
I get that.
As I was moving, I'm trying to hurry up and do everything. And she had reached out to me like, hey, you have to pay the rent. And I'm like, oh, hey, by the way, I found a place. Because prior to that, she had signed.
Hey, let me ask you this. Had you paid the rent for July?
Yes, ma'am. I paid the rent for July.
Had you paid the rent for August?
I didn't pay no rent for August.
But you were still in the place in August.
Well, I had moved out. I had moved
When?
out August the 5th.
August 5th.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So she had signed as a reference for me for my new place. So she already knew that it was getting close to the work that she had signed it for me. So August.
Oh, so the 30 days must have overlapped into the month of August. Because I am starting to think if you moved out on August 5th, then in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking at the first of the month to the 31 days in July, or whatever, however it works, right? I'm looking at the whole month, okay? So I would think that you would at least pay her for the first few days of August because you were occupying the home in that time, right? But you didn't pay her for August at all. So I'm wondering, is that the reason you're doing that is based on the time that she gave you the notice, right? So if she gave you the notice on, I don't know, July 5th or something like that, and she said you need to be out within 60 days or whatever, and you timed it from July 5th to August 5th, and that equal up to 30 days or whatever, maybe that's how that works, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But let's keep going.
August the 5th, she reached out to me and she said, hey, you haven't paid the rent. And I was like, oh, I got the place. I'm just talking to her because she was so nice to me the whole time I was there. I'm like, I got the place, like excited, because I know I don't have to wait and figure out if I'm going to be homeless or what.
Okay, I got that. But did you move on August 5th or you moved out?
Yes, I did. I moved. Yes,
so all your stuff was out of the place.
I got everything out there the same exact day. I think it was the 6th. I'm sorry. The 5th and the 6th. Yes, ma'am. So rent is normally due on the 5th of the month.
Okay.
And I moved everything and she was saying, well, if you don't give me the money by this time, I'm going to have to take you to court. I'm like, well, I had to move. Like, I didn't want to be homeless. I wrote her a letter and everything like, hey, this is what's happening. On this day of August 2023, me and my daughter, we both signed the paper and said that we was moving out the place. I found the place. I knew you knew it was coming because you gave me 60 days and also you found it as a reference for me to move into, so I can go to the next place. And it got approved. And then after that, I had got papers from the court saying I had to come to court. And it wasn't even for the $1,100. It's like she wanted me to do remodeling on the property. And I was so confused about that because I didn't do any damages to the property. When I moved out, I took everything out. I cleaned everything. Anything that was left in there was stuff that was from the prior landlord that he had there when I moved there. And I didn't touch it because it wasn't mine. But like I said, appliances outdated. The townhouse was outdated. I just made it.
See, this is why when you move into places, you have to record, okay? So you can have that timestamp in your phone and take it and either email it to yourself if you can, okay? You have to record every inch of that house, okay? From the ceilings down to the floor, all throughout, okay? I am walking into the home, going up the stairs. I'm doing this and that. This is the living room. This is the dining room. This is the kitchen, okay? And anything that you notice within that first week of moving in or whatever the case, and you didn't get a picture of it, snap that picture, okay? And then on your way out, you have to do the same thing, okay? We've cleaned this, we've cleaned that, we've taken care of this, we've taken care of that. You got to do what you got to do. Okay, so you'll be able to present those things accordingly. Like all of this over here is the landlord stuff. She said, they took care of this or that. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know if she got that type of evidence or if that matters in this case. But let's keep going.
Fit for me to live in.
All right. So what else happened?
I can't hear you. Went out.
I'm sorry. What else happened?
So and then I got the papers for me to come to court.
Okay, and what was she claiming were damages that you had to pay for?
She had it on there for like the appliances. I can't recall everything they had. The court said it was looking everything over, but basically it was like up to like $7,000 worth of damages for the house, and it wasn't no damages. No.
Okay, were there holes in the wall?
No, ma'am.
Okay, did she allege that you had put holes in the floor?
It wasn't no holes in the floor. I don't know where her
Was there
damages
copper
came
missing?
Nothing missing.
Light fixtures?
Nothing. Everything was still as is. I moved in 2017.
All right, and how much did the court grant in this case? 4,000. What now?
No, the whole thing was like 7,000 and something. I don't have the whole dollar amount, but I know it was over 7,000 versus me paying $1,100 for rent for 1 month.
All right. Okay.
And then she also had security deposit that the prior landlord gave to her from me after he gave her a reference to ask if I can stay into the property.
Let me ask you this. So with the security deposit, did she give you the opportunity to do a walkthrough with her so she could do a list of all the things that were damaged?
You saying a walkthrough the last day or walkthrough when you bought the property?
Before you
When
left
she
it,
when
when you
she
moved out.
when you told her I'm moving, did
Hmm.
she send you notice that you could do a walkthrough of the property with her?
No, she just sent me a
Okay,
message
hold on.
saying that. Mhm.
Did you ever receive a list of damages from her prior to coming to court?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So, did she use the security deposit that you had as damages in this case?
I think when the court summed it up, they had put the security deposit in there and minus it from what she was asking for.
Okay, and how much was the security deposit?
It was $775.
All right. So let me ask you this. So did she ever send you a notice to either your address at that place and it got forwarded to you, or to the new address that you had the opportunity to walk through the property with her to determine if there was any damages?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And did you receive anything from her after you moved out that said, these are the damages I walked through and saw, so this is how much of your security deposit I'm going to keep?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. All right. Is there anything else you want me to know?
No, ma'am. That'd be all.
All right, Ms. Mora.
So I just, I'm kind of flabbergasted by what was
Not
said. Nonetheless,
flabbergasted.
I don't see that a judge would have granted me
Ma'am,
the
I
amount that
used
I
to be in magistrate court. A lot of judges don't know about the security deposit. And if they don't look, they might not realize it. We're not infallible. But under
So I
section 44-7-33, there's an actual procedure by which you have to go through to document damages, to keep her security deposit, to determine any other damages.
I did everything as the Georgia law stated. So on July 7, 2023, she was provided a 60-day notice. It was emailed to her on that date. It was certified mail to her. All these docs are actually in the file that was submitted on the magistrate court. And also the hard copy was also put in her mailbox, which also I have pictures of.
Okay.
So this was all provided to her. And as you can see on the file, I have the hard copies here as well. So this is a 60-day notice that was given. This is a courtesy email notice that was given to her. And this is a certified priority mail express that was delivered to her door. And also I went and drove over there and I also placed it in her
Okay,
door.
so she's not arguing that you didn't give her the 60-day notice. I think she's her argument is about the damages.
Right. And so furthermore, on the email, I also stated a move-out inspection is optional, must be requested in writing, and must be completed 7 days prior to September 5th of 2023. The 700
It's optional and it must be requested. That sounds like something. It's your, okay, I could be so wrong when I say this, but I'm thinking like that's your property. You, just as much as the tenant, should want a walkthrough to see all of the damages together, unless you are the type of person or company that is going to do exactly what you did, which is write up all these damages that lady may or may not have. I'm going to say may not have. Okay.
$150 security deposit for the rental agreement is to be returned within 30 days rental agreement has terminated. Less any damages, security deposit shall not be credited towards rent unless the landlord gives written consent. 60-day notice to vacate is attached. I will stop by the property this afternoon before 1:30 and hand deliver you the notice. If you are not at the property, I will make sure to post it on the door. Lastly, the 60-day notice will also be mailed first class. So this was provided to her via email. To the,
And what was
to
the
email,
date at which she had to do the move-out inspection? Give me that part again.
September 5th.
Okay.
By 2023. I gave her the 60-day notice on 7/7, right?
Okay.
It allowed us ample time to do it September 5th.
Okay.
So she never responded to the move-out inspection. I then get a text message on August 6th stating that she's moving out of the property. I told her that I provided her with a 60-day notice, and per our agreement.
I'm confused. So you got a notice on August 6th, but she moved out of the property on August 5th, but she had been in contact with you and you did a referral for her, and you already knew that she was going to be moving? Girl, I don't know if this lady being, and I could be, a little sideways on this because I be feeling like landlords like to get over on people. So I am leaning more so on the side of the tenant, but we're going to find out if you right or not. Okay. But anywho, girl, all right, I don't know. That girl just sat up here and said that she had told this woman about her leaving. She was already aware, and that she also did a reference for her. So if you did a reference for her, you already knew this. But okay, I mean, did she message you on the 6th and say, hey, I'm completely out of the home now. I've moved everything out and I'm in my other location?
agreement, it clearly says on here that this agreement shall be month to month beginning on July 7, 2022, at the end of any time the landlord or tenant providing at least 60 days written notice to other parties. So I gave her the 60-day notice. Not one time did she convey to me that she was going to move out prior to those 60 days. Had she conveyed that to me in a written notice, then I would have been okay with that.
Ma'am, I think you're confused.
I think so too.
In regards to what?
She's frozen. Is everybody frozen, or is it just me?
I'm here.
You're frozen.
Judge.
I think we had a glitch. So at the point that I left, Ms. Moore was explaining that she gave her a 60-day notice. Ms. Moore, I think you're confused. So you're saying I gave her a 60-day notice, and in your mind, she wasn't supposed to move out until the 60th day. But that's not how this works. If you give her a 60-day notice, she's required to have 60 days before you can take any legal action to remove her, such as bringing an eviction. But it doesn't mean she's bound to stay in the property and to pay the rent for 60 more days. It just means that's the amount of notice that she needs to give, that you need to give her prior to taking any action. You got me?
Right, I understand that.
So when you say she got 60 days and she never told me she was moving out before the 60th day and I want her to pay this last month of rent, it doesn't work that way.
Mm.
And you say that y'all had a written agreement for her to stay. That sounds like a lease.
We did have a lease.
Mm-mm.
But
There's
in
a
it,
lease
you
agreement.
agreed that each of you would have, instead of 30 days, you would each give each other 60 days notice. That's the only change to the lease. You just said we had in writing that I would give her 60 days notice and she would give me 60 days notice.
I never said, I'm sorry, no. So the lease
Reread what
agreement
you just said.
The lease agreement is here. This is a month-to-month
Ma'am,
lease agreement.
I get you can't have a month-to-month lease agreement. Either you have a lease or it's month-to-month. You can't do both.
Right.
Month-to-month means no, ma'am. You got
And
something
if
in
it's
writing.
month-to-month
Month-to-month means nothing in writing. We're traveling under the old lease terms, and
right.
it's year to year or until I give the 60 days notice or she gives the 30 days notice. That's month-to-month. Lease means y'all sat down and talked about this, came up with some agreement and wrote it down. And you
And
have from
signed it.
from July of 2022 to July 2023, there's an agreement in writing. You just said.
So I guess that's my error. So this is considered a month-to-month. So
No, ma'am, you can't say that. If you have a writing, if you have a written document, it's not month to month. You have just given her more time than you would generally give her to move out. You gave her 60 days. See, this is what happens when non-business people try to do things legalistically and they mess themselves up. So I'm listening closer because I did 4 years in magistrate court. I have combed through every part of the dispossessory code and I teach it at new judges training. So when I tell you, you can't say to me, it's month to month, but we have a lease or a written agreement. It's one or the other. It can't be both.
That's fine. And I'm not going to harp on that. That's fine. However,
What do you mean that's fine? That's what it is.
I'm really, the court judge granted me the damages. So
Okay,
when I took,
but I get to look at it de novo.
Exactly. The court may have said, I'm questioning if the court really granted her the damages. And even if they did, and this young lady is back to appeal, whatever it was, it's time for this judge to overlook it and make a decision on it.
For as if everything is new. I get to hear all of it, and my decision based on what I'm hearing, nothing to do with what the magistrate judge heard.
Okay.
Don't care. Okay.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
But I would suggest as a business person that you sit down with a lawyer who is knowledgeable about dispossessory law and clear it up, because
she's been doing what she want to do, Your
month to
Honor.
month with written lease terms. That's not how this works.
Got it.
Right?
Thank you.
Now let's get back to the damages, because really she's out of the property, so all of that is under water under the bridge. What I need to know is whether you gave her the opportunity for inspection. She moved out earlier than September. Was there an opportunity for her to inspect when she moved out? Like, did you send her an updated notice?
No, I did not send her an updated notice. She texted me, and the text said that she will go ahead and vacate. She's vacating, and then she will leave the keys in the mailbox.
Okay, so at that point, when you knew she was vacating, did you say, hey, I'm going to do a walkthrough? Because presumably if she's out in August, you're going to try and rent before the September. You're going to try and get somebody in there. So she's not going to do an inspection with somebody else in the property. At that point, did you update your notice to her about the inspection?
No, I did not. There was no further communication, but through the courts when I went ahead and filed. So there was no further
So when
communication.
did you
Okay, and
file?
then when you went in and decided all of these things that you were going to seek as damages or that she needed to repay you, did you send her a detailed list of all of these things before you went to court?
There was no forwarding address.
No, ma'am.
How?
It
When
doesn't
you
matter
just
because the law
said,
says you send it to the last.
I am so confused because how is there not a forwarding address when you said that you went and you left information on her door? Maybe that was the other house that she was in. But how could there not really be a forwarding address when you also was a referral for her? I don't know. I don't believe this lady, but we could keep going.
That's known
Okay,
address.
girl.
You let the post office worry about whether it gets forwarded.
Got it.
So
No,
you're
I
talking
didn't.
about how you did everything by the law. The law says you can use the last known address. If it gets forwarded, it gets forwarded. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But did you send any communication?
No, there was no further communication.
Okay, now tell me about all of these things that you feel like she should have paid for when you bought the house as is.
Okay, so I bought the house as is, and I did do a walkthrough with her. At that time, there was no pet. She had a pet in there. Were holes.
Okay, hold on. Did you document the walkthrough that you did with her when you first came in and she was attorney to the lease? Did you document it?
I did document it. I
Did she
did a
get a
moving.
copy of it?
I sure did.
Okay, did she get a copy of that?
She signed it
Okay, but did you give her a copy of it?
via email. Yes, I did.
Okay, so now tell me when you walked through after she left the property, what did you determine she should have paid for?
Okay, so there's holes in the window screen, right?
Okay.
There were cut out lines, as you can
There were
see
what?
here in this.
Hold on.
I'm trying to
She
get it.
can't see
Blinds.
it,
You can see it.
honey.
Okay,
They
so
were
the blinds were messed up. Okay, next.
purposely cut. They weren't just messed up.
Purposely
They
cut.
either like
Okay, go ahead, Miss Mora.
the blinds were actually cut. The window screens were completely off on all of the rooms. You can clearly see that they were holes. There were dog bites at the bottom of the blinds. This is the sliding door blinds. There were dog bites at the bottom.
Okay, did you
The
tell her
hand-
she couldn't have a pet?
It was written into the agreement or the month-to-month. There was
It's the
no
lease,
pet.
ma'am. It's not a month to month.
Sorry, the lease.
And
That was
she was
written.
not to have a pet.
She was not to have a pet.
Okay, what was hold on. Slow your roll.
See, this is where
Okay.
it gets confusing a little bit for me because she already had a prior agreement with the last landlord or whatever the case was. So I thought they were just supposed to follow, and I could have missed it too. I thought they were just supposed to follow what was originally in place. So I don't know. Maybe it was something. Okay.
If she had a
I done
pet,
got
was there a penalty that she had to pay?
confused.
Yes,
Child.
there is. It's right here. 350 pet fee, $350.
Okay, a one-time $350.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So there were. Hold on, I'm looking for the closet doors. There were glass. Both of those were cracked. I don't know if you can see that well, but they were both cracked. And all of this stuff was submitted. As you can see, the door knob on one of the bedroom doors would look like it was kicked off or kicked out from the thing. Hold on just a second. The electrical outlets have been damaged. There was paraphernalia found on the apartment.
Not paraphernalia.
What do you mean
The smoke
paraphernalia?
Yeah.
Paraphernalia. There were Swisher wrappers and marijuana found in one of the kitchen cabinets, which I have a picture of. This right here is the smoke
Okay,
detector that was.
How does the marijuana paraphernalia damage you?
It had to be cleaned out. It had to be disinfected. All of the.
I hate to say this, but have you owned rental property before?
Both
Have
here
you
in
ever
Canada.
listen to me. Have you ever heard of turnkey costs?
I have, but there's
Okay.
because of the odor, they have to do a special treatment for that. That's just like
I'm
when you rent a car.
What I'm saying to you is I'm real familiar with rental property. Don't ask me how I know. Real familiar. But turnkey costs on average are from $3,000 to $5,000, depending on how long the person lived there. Generally, carpets need to be replaced, floors need to be redone.
Yeah, especially if she's been there over 5 years.
Certain things may have to be replaced, doors.
Yeah, like I'm thinking like over if she's been there, I can't remember. I thought she said she was there for quite a few years. And maybe not, but some of this stuff does seem like things you're gonna have to take a L on just a little piece, girl.
Windows, window screens, So all of this stuff that you're claiming is under the list of things that have to be done to turnkey a place to put somebody new
Anyway,
in there. I
right.
don't know how you feel like this is not a cost that the landlord should bear.
All of these damages that I just pointed out, like
Yes,
the smoke
ma'am.
detector.
Because when you talk about window screens and blinds and stuff like that, that's normal wear and tear for somebody who's lived in a place 6 years. Window screen and blinds, those little
Right.
blinds, you're buying rental grade blinds. You didn't buy them, but the
I
previous
have to pause them. I have to pause and go back because I wanted to look at the damaged window screens. I feel like she got to replace that. Cut or damaged blinds, I would think that she would have to replace that. Closet doors, cracked glass. Now that I'm not necessarily sure. I feel like if she can prove that this young lady damaged it, then that I would say glass is expensive. Maybe that's something she would have to take care of. Damaged doorknob. Um, I don't know about the damage. I feel like it's easy to just put a damn new doorknob on there, and a doorknob don't cost that much. So what you gonna do? Get a whole new damn door for $150? Dog bites on sliding door blinds. Pet feet, unauthorized dog, $350. Okay, damaged kitchen cabinets. But she said that the last owner told her it was okay to redo the kitchen cabinets. Smoke detector replacement. You just adding shit. Cleaning for paraphernalia. Really, ma'am? General cleaning and repainting. You want her to, and this is the shit I was talking about when I first started doing this video. How a lot of these landlords, okay, they want you to take on the property as is. They don't want to do a lot of work. What's going to happen is she probably going to do very minimal cleaning. She's going to tour the place with a whole new tenant. She's going to show old photos of when the house was in order, and she's going to put that shit back on the market as is. The most she may do is replace the refrigerator, stove top, and the dishwasher. Why she got to replace that? What? General cleaning and repainting, y'all should do that. But considering she had to do some of that, you're going to charge the next person for it. You're going to have that person replace the detector. You're going to leave the kitchen cabinets as is. And you are probably going to get some blinds, because damaged or cut blinds for $500, bitch, you're doing too much, okay? And you should be having them cheap ass blinds anyway. High key, you need to go get the fat wooden ones. I forgot what they call, but them the ones, okay? BITU raggedy dog. Anyway, she's kind of pissed me off a little piece. I hate how they try to get over on us people like this. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Go ahead.
buying rental grade blinds. You didn't buy them, but the previous people did. You're not buying high end stuff. You're buying rental grade. And when you buy rental grade
Thank you,
for
Your
a rental
Honor.
property, it needs to be turnkey. So all of this stuff it seems like you're taxing her for something that, first of all, the people who did it the first time did not. This was not a high end property. Some of that stuff she may have purchased out of her own pocket as an agreement between her and the
Thank you. And she should be credited for that. You heifer. So get that lady back her $775.
previous owner. You don't know
Not.
because you took over after she took the property.
Okay, we
How
see each
long
other.
was she in the property, Miss Mora, before you took over?
That I don't know.
How long was she in the property,
You
Miss
don't
Mora,
even know
before you
that.
took over?
I don't know.
Okay, so you don't
But
know if any of that was
Thank
purchased
you,
out of
Your
her own
Honor.
pocket.
it was not, because when I did the walkthrough, she never spoke upon it. She never spoke in regards to any repair that she had.
Ma'am, you didn't even give her the opportunity to do a damn walkthrough. Are you talking about the original, the beginning walkthrough? And why would she tell you that if she's assuming that you're taking over for the previous people? She is likely assuming that you may have all of this information already. And this is a great example of how you got to fact check and double check your SHI. Okay?
Done.
And why would she need you to do a walkthrough on the front end when she was already in the home before you even took over? So you're talking about a walkthrough after the fact, but you never gave her the chance to walk through with you. This lady seems to be a liar.
Repair that she did was to change a toilet valve inside, which I reimbursed her for it. Thereafter, she did not point out anything that needs to be repaired. You cannot justify having a hood range to like this after I did the walkthrough. You can't justify my smoke detector being uninstalled. You can't justify the cabinets. You cannot justify.
I feel like a lot of that is justified for a person that's lived in a home for 6 years and moving into that home as is from the previous owner. Ma'am, what the hell going on?
By the ward cabinets after I did the walkthrough, and that was not on there.
Okay,
So regardless,
The
I'm sorry,
damage,
what was that?
damage to the cabinets. Did she report the reason for
I
the
love
damage
this
to the
judge.
cabinets?
She did not report absolutely nothing from the time that I did the walkthrough with this lady up until the time she moved out. The only report that she made was a toilet valve that she replaced, which I still have the text for that. And I went ahead and credit her for her purchasing that.
Okay.
So time after I did the walkthrough with my stuff looking the way it came out to look after she moved out.
So how much did you spend to turnkey the property?
What's that?
Yeah, I would like to know how much she spent too.
I have all of my individual receipts. Let's see. It could have been. I mean, I have the. I mean, the basically out. It was around more or less whatever I put the amount for when I originally.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Don't come into this courtroom and have all of the list, have an itemized list of things that you want this young lady to take care of and pay for. But when it's time for you to show us what you have spent on your turnkey costs, your itemized list for your turnkey costs, don't sit up here and be trying to like come up with some numbers. You should have just as much of the paperwork of what y'all spent as you have of what she owes for. And I hope the judge wear her ass out before this video is completely done.
We did the court claim, which was, I think it was close to $7,000. Right here it goes. $7,010.
Okay, so you got it. Is that your cost or hers?
All of my receipts added up, and I also asked for the court costs to be reimbursed.
No, Your Honor. I thought you asked this lady about her cost, right? I thought that you asked her about what she's already spent money on. I could be wrong, but I thought that's what the judge asked her about. So that's what I want to see.
Okay, and you kept the $775 security deposit.
Correct.
Okay. All right. What were the most expensive items that you had to replace?
The most expensive items, let's see, hold on, I have my receipt. The bathrooms.
Mm-hmm. What did you have to replace in the bathroom?
The carpet, I understand that's prorated because she was in there. I also replaced the carpet.
Okay, no, carpet is turnkey, ma'am. I'm not giving you anything for carpet.
Right, that's fine. So basically it was the kitchen area.
What did you do in the kitchen? What did you do in the kitchen?
Do all of the cabinets, and I have pictures of all that
What do
stuff.
you mean
I have
do all of the cabinets? What do you mean do all?
The cabinets worked. All of the doors and the inside of the cabinets that were warped with the stuff that she left behind there, and also the bathrooms. The bathrooms were the same thing. The vanities, I had to replace them. I had to replace the toilets. I have to replace the kitchen countertop.
Your Honor, send her on her way.
I don't know if this is included on the turnkey. I had to replace all the appliances. I had to replace the refrigerator, everything you can think of.
She was in there for 6 years.
It was literally burning a hole onto the dripping
Plus
pan
before the other
on the stove.
So you can buy dripping pans separately. Those are about $4 or $5. So why did you have to replace the entire stovetop?
Because the stovetop. Let me show you what it looked like.
Let me show you.
This is why I had to replace the dishwasher because it was not working.
Okay, ma'am, Miss Leaks, how long did you live in this property?
I lived there since 2017.
And Miss Mora, how long did you own the property?
I purchased the property on 2022.
And did
so
you put
halfway
any
through
new
her
appliances
lease
or anything into the her living unit when
no,
you purchased
you
the
just
property?
collected money, bitch. That's the
I did
L you
not,
finna
because there was
take.
nothing
No. Listen to me.
Come
Listen
on.
to me. Did you paint when you moved in when you purchased the property?
No, because there were no damages.
Did you replace the flooring when you purchased the property?
No, I did not, because there were no visible damage at that time.
So at this time, you've already
This woman is a bald-headed liar. And what do you mean there was no damages at that time? Ma'am, she was occupying the space. You purchased that home as an investment property to be able to gain coinage from. And she was actively living in it. Like, I'm a little confused. It was no damage at that time. Whatever damages there were, you wasn't finna fix it.
The $775 for the security deposit. Ms. Leaks owes you $350 for the pet damages. And the rest of that is turnkey, because you would have had to do all, she's been living in that place for 6 years. When you bought it, it had all of those old appliances, it had the old fixtures, it had, no, Miss Mora, I don't care if there
I'm so glad the judge wearing her out. And here's the thing: whatever she owes you for those pet damages, the $350, and then the other thing that you're saying, that's probably gonna cancel out because of the $775 security deposit.
was no damage when you bought it. It is a place where a renter has lived for 6 years. There's gonna be holes in the windows, screens. There's gonna, ma'am, when I tell you I am experienced in rental property, not just from being a magistrate, you're trying to put your turnkey costs on the back of the tenant. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely not.
And you probably did that before.
Absolutely not.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely not.
Yes, ma'am. And she's not required to pay the additional month's rent. You gave her 60 days to move out before an action could take place. She moved before the 60 days, so you're not entitled to the month's rent. She moved within the time period that you asked her to move.
I'm not disputing that, but that's already been established. I'm here because at the time of the move-in, the condition of the unit was not as she left it when she left. And regardless of normal wear and tear, this was beyond normal wear and tear.
The judge, like, you can say whatever you want, but you still gonna get what I say you gonna get. Ain't this something here?
Okay. So you said the bathrooms, the cabinets, you had to replace all of those. What else was the most expensive thing you had to do?
The most expensive things were the bathroom, the kitchen. I had to literally do everything. So I don't know where that falls in your criteria.
I'm just not impressed by that, because you bought an old property. The person was already living there. There was already going to be issues because you had a tenant in the place. Every time you bring in a new tenant, there's going to be some turnkey, especially when they've been living in a house that long. You bought a property and you didn't replace all of that stuff when you bought it. So what you're dealing with is a tenant who's already dealing with old appliances, and all of that. That's all part of being a landlord, ma'am.
Just because things are old does not justify her messing them up to where now they're inoperable. When we did the walkthrough, those items were not like that. Had those items
did the
been
walkthrough
like
in 2022? It's 2025. Had you been in the property since then, Ms. Moore? Had you been in the property since then?
Say what?
Had you been in the property since 2022?
Oh, that's the last time she did the walkthrough in 2022. I thought she didn't do one at all. Gotcha.
No, because she never reported anything.
Did you do periodic inspections?
No, because she didn't never reported anything.
It doesn't matter. You have the right as the landlord to do periodic inspections, and if there's issues, then you can address them at that time. But if you went from 2022 to 2023, 2024, you never even went back to look to see if there was damages, and you're saying that it should have been pristine from the time she first started living there, or from the time you bought it until the time she moved out.
I'm not saying that it should have. I just want what's fair.
And I'm gonna give you what's fair. What is fair, I think, is about $1,500 to $2,000, because other than that, all of that stuff is stuff you had to do anyway to bring in a new tenant. That's the cost of doing business as a landlord. And I also know you're gonna take it off on your taxes, because that's how you run a business.
Right.
So what you're looking at is a double recovery, when these aren't things that you get from a tenant, especially when you're not doing periodic inspections and you can't follow the decline of the property. Now, if you told me at some point you were in there looking at it, but when we're talking about blinds and window screens, that is the cost of doing business as a landlord. And if you haven't ever had to replace stuff like that before, you're not doing it right.
I don't understand. So it's okay for an individual to rent someone's property and purposely cut blinds. That's normal wear and tear. You're telling me that it's okay for an individual to have your dog bite the bottom of someone's blinds. You're telling me it's okay for someone to remove the smoke detector and then it probably can cause a fire due to you not having the installed smoke detector. You're telling me that it's okay for her to have rust at the top of the stove that she supposedly had cooked in. You're telling me that it's okay for her to have rust at the refrigerator?
Ma'am, those refrigerators were old. You don't even know when they were purchased. So rust on a refrigerator, or rust on a stove, you don't even know when they were purchased. So you didn't purchase it.
I seen it in 2022 when I did the walkthrough. It was not like that. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
But what she's trying to tell you is the shit is fucking old, bitch. Whether you saw shit, and that's what's killing me softly, bitch. Why do you think that because you didn't see it 3 years ago or however many years ago that it's supposed to still be intact today? What the fuck? Like over time, the shit gonna get old, and it was already old when she got it because it was an as-is ass home. Okay, Your Honor, I wouldn't give her ass shit. Haki, this is the risk your ass took as being a landlord. So you figure it out and bitch, you deal with it. I bet you gonna go get you somebody else to represent this property in the future.
22. This is 2024 you're talking
So
about.
you're it's okay for her from 2022
Miss
to the
Mora,
time she left.
I'm
That's my
not
stuff.
gonna, I'm not gonna argue with this. Tenants do all kinds of crazy stuff. I will grant she
Right.
shouldn't have had a pet. You're charging her the $350 for the pet.
I-
I will grant you've kept her to her $775, even though you didn't send her, you didn't update your inspection requirements once she moved out of the property. You set them thinking that she was required to stay in the property, which I don't. That makes no sense to me. You give her a 60-day notice, and you think on the 60th day she's gonna move out on that day into a new place, instead of you're giving her the notice for her to within the 60 days move. Then you didn't update your inspection procedures, and inspection notice. You didn't send a damages report to the last known address. In some cases, she might even be entitled to triple her security deposit because you didn't do it right. Even if you go through the process of doing a damages walkthrough after the person has left, if you're going to keep their security deposit, according to the law, you're supposed to then send the damages report to their last known address. You say you didn't send it, but you're asking me what's fair about a property where you bought it with old appliances in it, you didn't inspect periodically, and you want the court to give you the cost of turnkey. Not going to do that. At this point, I will grant you the $775 and the $350 for the dog. I will grant you the $775 and the $350 for the dog. The rest is the cost of doing business.
So what is the total?
She really only owe you $350. She already gave you
the $775.
Yeah,
that was her.
She only owe you
her
$350.
deposit, and the $350 she'll pay that.
Okay, so can I have that paid? Can you give her a date to have that money rendered to me?
Nope.
I don't generally do that because it is your job to collect it.
I'll garnish her
Once
wages, not a problem.
Once I give a judgment, it is upon the person who prevails to collect the judgment. But Ms. Mora,
Don't worry.
sit down with an attorney who's knowledgeable of, because everybody who thinks they know the law, well, I'm doing it by the law, and you're telling me it's month to month when you clearly have a lease that you've negotiated. So sit down with somebody.
Well, this is a lesson learned here in Georgia because it doesn't work like that in California.
No, ma'am.
But
It sure fucking doesn't, bitch. You on two different sides of the damn coast, and you talking about California to goddamn Georgia, bitch. You got a wide open damn Democratic ass state and moving your motherfucking ass down here to a damn Republican state. Okay? But anywho, bitch, ma'am, this what you get. And the fact that you think you finna garnish this girl wages, child, you ain't even giving her an effort to try and pay. But whatever it is, honey, I guess, okay. I don't know how that works if the judge is going to require her to have some type of something. I don't know if there have to be certain things in place before you could just garnish a person's wages. I would assume you have to give them the chance to pay it before you could just garnish. Not necessarily sure. But she's like, it's a lesson learned. It's not how it works in California versus Georgia, and I'm just wondering if it works the same when it comes to garnishing wages, depending on the state that you're in. But let's keep going. I'm about to wrap this up.
But that's the problem. Everybody comes to Georgia thinking it works like it does up north, where it's no,
right.
It does not.
Well noted.
You can't just come here thinking you know the law.
She got so much of an attitude.
It doesn't work the same in any other state.
And in my personal, she needs to be mindful of how she's handling this judge, because if you're gonna have investment property here, and you are going to be doing whatever you're doing, you could potentially face this judge yet again. Okay? So, girl, be careful.
It has nuances.
Absolutely. I never said I knew the law. I'm not an attorney.
You did. You said, I did it by the law. And you said that 3 times to me. When I first asked you what was going on, you talked about, I did it by the law. And then you immediately told me you had a month to month and a lease.
Are you going to be able to set a date where she needs to render the money, or do I need to garnish her?
No, ma'am. You need to do whatever you need to do to collect it. I don't collect. I just give the judgment. So $350 for the judgment.
Sounds all right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, ma'am. All right, Ms. Lee, you'll pay the $350.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Right. You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. All right.
What's crazy is garnishing for $350. Like, I guess, girl, I can't. She's so mad she didn't get her way. She thought she was finna come up off this girl on $7,000, knowing this damn damage that she needs to do, trying to make excuses. I don't know who the fuck had you in your mind to think that was okay. I mean, clearly California had her fucked up, but I feel like that ain't even how it go in California. Okay? But that's crazy to me that you done brought a property as is, hasn't instilled your own restrictions or anything. You just there to collect money. Like, girl, I ain't got time. Go away from me with this, ain't it? Go away from me with this. Y'all leave your thoughts and comments down below. That's all I got. I'm Jami, that's me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Tell him I preach to the choir. Stand with my feet to the fire. Give all the glory to God. Stand in the midst of these haters, I'm silent, nobody can stop me. Just gotta check in my notification, them numbers hit like it's a proxy. Cashed out at the ATM, and the ATL, they done made a gym. I've been kicking doors like the ATF, got them trying to clone me like Aegis. Game time, I invaded gym. High elevated, I can face the rim. Putting shots up, I got laser focus, about to take it over. I'm Invader Zim, on a trip to Florida like it's A&M. Who that nigga, man, they say I'm him. Spit the truth, never wasting film. I can fill a pool, we gon' make them swim, nigga.